Live service games are dying. Oh no! Who could have seen that happen? Who would have seen it coming? Anyway, moving on. Now, to be honest, I honestly don't think live service games are that bad. Personally, in my honest opinion, live service games are some of the most fun and enjoyable games that I have played in my life. They're some of my favorite, in fact, and I honestly think the same applies to most of you. The problem with live service games in the modern age is the fact that they're not treated as games. They're treated as cash grabs that are filled with microtransactions, no gameplay, no mechanics, no nothing. The gameplay, honestly, for most live service games now is relegated to not even second position, to like third, fourth, or maybe even fifth position. It's all about making that money. And look at Helldivers 2. It's a live service game first and foremost. And people still love it, people still play it. Yeah, sure, it has its problems nowadays, but those are not because it's a live service game. Those problems exist because of different reasons. But people love it. It's just the fact that most live service games now are complete trash. Let's be real. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Skull and Bones. So many absolute horrid examples. Diablo 4. Ugh. The live service games can be awesome, but man, companies need to actually treat them as games, not live services first.
So over a year ago, back in February of 2023, I released a video detailing how live services are dying by the dozen as the genre buckles from unsustainable oversaturation. And fast forward roughly a year and a half, and you want to know what's changed since?
Nothing?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Companies are still in this gold rush to become the next big live service, to try to become the next Destiny 2. But a lot of those ideas are...
Okay, Young, relax. No one's trying to become Destiny 2. Everyone's trying to avoid becoming Destiny 2. Destiny 2 has an absolute monopoly on what it currently does. There is no competition, there's nothing. And Bungie is still missing 9 out of 10 times. Now, granted, yes, the final shape is a success. People like it. It's good, it's fun, no one's complaining too much, even though I think the story has turned into the most predictable Avengers Endgame slop ever imaginable, but, you know, still, it is a success, undoubtedly. But man, Bungie's just a bunch of morons. Bungie honestly could not put 2 plus 2 together properly, they would blow up something first. The new player experience for Destiny 2 is still... It just screams at you, please delete me, hate me, I'm crap, I'm garbage. No, seriously, the Destiny new player experience doesn't tell you anything. How to use items, how to use your stuff, what's important, what's not important, how to use the map, how to use the minimap, what is this, what is that. Here's a pop-up for 15 things that you don't even have a DLC for, but we're just gonna give them to you at level 3. The Destiny experience is absolutely horrible, and while the final shape is an absolute hit for sure, that doesn't change the history of Destiny being tarnished trash. Destiny 2 sadly has struck out more than it has hit.
Are either uninspired or not competitive enough with what's currently the standard for that stuff to stand out. So guess what? There's been just another round of mass shutdown of live services, or live services that you can tell are going to shut down sooner or later. This discussion kind of cropped up again with the shutdown or the end of support for Exoprimal. This is a game that was released by Capcom, and it was announced on July 5th, 2024 that all...
Yeah, no idea what this is, but what the hell is this? Void dinosaurs?
All planned Exoprimal seasonal content has been finished. Exoprimal, for those who don't know, is this dinosaur shooter game that can be best described as like a mix between Anthem and Dino Crisis, I guess, except instead of just making Dino Crisis, they made Exoprimal. and it had some neat things going for it, but ultimately it wasn't a compelling enough title for it to be able to stand out. And so the end of support came, and various news outlets sort of began talking about how this should be a lesson to live service developers, or how this is just another casualty in this trend. And what is gaming's worst trend is kind of the opinion that's out there of trying to push live services out there for the sake of having a live service there to recurrently monetize, rather than have a genuinely inspired idea that makes sense for the live service genre where it can shine as a live service. And so I want to detail the next round of games.
Bruh, who the hell needs or wants fresh new ideas? I don't even want fresh new ideas. I just want the old stuff being done better. Why is World of Warcraft Classic so successful? Because we just want good stuff done better. I don't want someone to invent a completely new genre. That's completely... I'm completely disinterested in that. I already have enough genres that I like. I just want good games in those genres. Dude, listen, it's not that hard. No one needs to reinvent the wheel. I just need a good type of game, and that's kind of it.
Where it's highly likely to already determine that they just don't have a future, and it's going to be a...
Also, by the way, listen, Fortnite copied PUBG. PUBG, I think, copied someone else, but PUBG was the first one to make it make a big splash in the arena shooter style of gameplay, and then Fortnite came and just stole it by, copying it and doing it better, okay? And who's complaining? No one. No one. I don't care if someone steals from someone else in that manner and makes a better game. I'll be happy for it.
Big waste of time and money, and the ones who are going to suffer are the developers, who just were doing what the captain told them, only to be led astray. Let's start by looking at Multiversus. Now, what's interesting about this game is that, I mean, look, you can see right here from the player numbers that it's trending downwards.
Multiversus completely died.
And it's slowly starting to die off. What's interesting about this particular game is that it would be its second death. You may recall that this game launched all the way back in summer of 2022. It peaked to great numbers, but that fell off real hard, and eventually people just stopped playing it. And if you look at the graph of this latest release, it's the same trend of like it peaked pretty high for like a day or two.
Yeah, I mean, we covered this. This is insane. So this was the beta release or alpha release or pre-launch or whatever, and then this was the actual real launch for the game. And in the real launch, they just made so many things worse. They made art of characters worse and lamer. They did so many things wrong. They changed so much stuff for no reason.
For a couple days,
and made it
and
worse.
Now it's the rate at which the player base is diminishing is rather alarming for a live service. One that's
also the amount of time you need to play with Shaggy to unlock a new character is kind of absurd. It's kind of absurd if you don't want to pay money.
Free to play at that, and that requires a consistent stream of players to be engaged and in turn spend money on this game for this to be viable. It looks like it's headed down the same path as the first time around when it basically died off
Oh, is he gonna show Suicide Squad? He should, or Skull and Bones.
Ceremoniously. I don't suspect Multiversus, unless they make some radical changes and radical additions, will really last all that long, if I'm being honest with you. And what really didn't help matters for Multiversus is that its final release somehow was less feature complete than the beta and had issues that the beta didn't have. And so it just released in a poor state that didn't feel like a huge enough step up from the beta for it to be something that revitalized the...
Well, to be completely honestly fair, still having 5K average players is not really the worst thing in the world. It's actually pretty decent.
player base's belief in Multiversus capability to kind of compete against your Super Smash Brothers or your, Brawlhallas even. Then let's talk about Skull and Bones. Back in February of 2024, it was reported that this game from Ubisoft, the so-called quadruple A game, had less than 1 million players total, including free trial players as of this day.
There is a reason we call it not Ubisoft, but Ubislop, and Skull and Bones is one of the greatest examples of this. Well, Ubisoft goes so much under the radar because it is as bad of a company currently as Blizzard and, well, everything else close to that. Ubisoft is just horrible. Skull and Bones is a pirate game where you're trying to get the buried treasure of 5 planks of wood. No, seriously, you don't even actually get gold coins in this game. Your loot from ancient pirate treasures, cannonballs, planks of wood, and gears. How do you... When a pirate game that allows you to plunder stuff can't even actually give you treasure to plunder. That's just next level. Plus 50% of your crew is female, which means there's a lot of R-ing going on those ships because, hey, there's a reason women were not really pirates that often, okay? And that was quite obvious. But not for Ubisoft. Not for Ubisoft. Man the cannons, take the cannonballs, women. It's great. It's great. But Ubisoft is a complete woke mess.
Meaning that a lot of people kind of try the game out and decided, yeah, I'm not gonna buy this. And even including those free trial players, the number of players engaging with this game was minuscule enough that I don't suspect that this is a game that is gonna have long legs unless Ubisoft somehow manages to pull off like a For Honor or a Rainbow Six Siege level comeback, which I guess Ubisoft has done before, but that is the exception, not the rule. Redfall fell, no pun intended.
Oh man, one more game that assures Bethesda's quality. And yes, I can already hear some idiots saying, well, but this was not made by Bethesda. Todd Howard came out in an interview and said, yeah, Bethesda had absolute 100% full oversight of everything that was made in Redfall. So effectively, Bethesda made Redfall because they had full control over every single decision that was put into this game. So, well, and the company that made this game now is shut down, which is good because fuck them. I hope only Bethesda suffers the same fate. Losers. If they make another Fallout game, I'm gonna be sick.
Not too long ago, when it was announced on May 30th, 2024, that Arcane Austin would be bidding farewell to Redfall with the final update. This was after Xbox decided to shut down Arcane Austin alongside with Tango Gameworks and other studios. The final update did include the offline mode that this game desperately needed for it to be preserved, so kudos there. But that aside, the game was just unceremonious all throughout. People didn't really like the announcement. The marketing didn't particularly entice players. And then the final game, the reviews and the feedback surrounding it didn't indicate that this was going to be a successful live service. And Redfall fell pretty hard. And then, of course, the shutdown of Arcane Austin was the kind of final nail in the coffin. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is now free to claim for Prime Day when a live service...
Yo, listen, okay? I haven't covered this yet, but the official Mr. Gender Bender Freeze, transgender freeze, DLC is officially up, boys, okay? That's the next season. You're getting they them freeze, okay? It's gonna be great. The art looks horrible, the character's trans, and that's pretty much all you need to know.
Is so desperate that they are already making free offers, and this is months after its launch. One that's not free to play, mind you. This is a premium priced live service where you do have an initial price tag you have to pay to access it. That's already a bad sign, combined with the fact that if you look at its player base and look at how many people are engaging with the game right now, you'll find low
200.
triple digit.
Come on, how is it? How is it staying above 200? Was the Okay, listen. You know why the number 300 is important? Because previously the average was 200. So that means that this game is seen a whopping 50% increase in player base, which technically is a big number. Yeah.
Players over the course of 24 hours. This right here is as good as dead, and there have been a couple updates that have rolled out, but that stuff has not been enough to really bolster player numbers because the updates just don't feel all that substantial. They had one chance with the Season 1 and Joker DLC to show that their upcoming content will be thrilling and exciting, but Season 1 and Joker DLC, that did not go down.
God, Young just understands gaming so poorly. He's literally a slop lover. He just oh, it's disgusting, okay? The DLC is not the problem. Not the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is just fundamentally flawed. Every gun you have feels like a shitty pea shooter. Captain Boomerang doesn't even use his boomerang. Killer Shark is a shark that uses a minigun. That minigun shoots like a pea shooter. Everything in this game feels just bad. The enemies are stupid, the enemies are boring, the shooting's boring, the loot system is atrocious, okay? There is no DLC that's gonna revamp the core of this game, which needs to happen for it to actually be good. But even then, that's just like the first level of problems for Suicide Squad. The second is everything else. The design, the game, the bosses, the map. Everything is crap. At this point, it's easier to completely redesign the game from ground up than actually fixing the issues this game has.
Well at all, and it highlighted that the developers are only barely able to keep up with the game's live service requirements. They're barely able to make content, and when they do, it's a lot of rehash stuff because they just haven't built a solid foundations to make
They haven't made anything unique.
This a viable long-term game. Next up, let's take a look at Foam Stars from Square Enix, which, I mean, it took a lot of inspiration from Splatoon. And it's the fact that they were trying to replicate something and, give it a twist of their own, but it ultimately just didn't stand out enough. And then its quality, while it wasn't a bad game by any means, it just wasn't outstanding. It didn't have the personality that Splatoon did. It just wasn't as refined as Splatoon was. Ultimately, the player base just dipped tremendously throughout the course of its lifespan to the point where by April of 2024, Foam Stars lost nearly 95% of its player base. And while they haven't announced like a shutdown of the game or an end of service or an end of support, I do suspect that that announcement will be coming pretty soon and that the vast majority of people won't be surprised to hear this. And I think a lot of people will be like, huh? Foam Stars, what even is that? I don't think a lot of people really have heard of this game. And if they have, they've, long forgotten about it and moved on to all the other live services that are out there that are huge time sinks. Companies have the expectation that people just have unlimited time to spend on all of these live services and unlimited money for that matter. But there are only so many people on this planet, and of those people, only so much time can be spent on one or two games that require you to treat them as full-time jobs to stay fully sort of updated and
the hell are you playing a game like a full-time job? Why even do that? Don't do that.
To keep up with all of the rewards and all the timed FOMO content that they put out there. Rocket Arena is next. This game did last a couple of years at least. It was released on July 14th, 2020, but it was recently announced that the game would shut down. Rocket Arena was sunset on March 21st, 2024. Honestly, this is one game that I
have no idea what this is supposed to be.
From EA. And it's one that I just haven't looked too much into. I think I remember seeing like a trailer for it back in the day, but it just didn't interest me enough to really check it out. But alas, it's a game that didn't have long. A new live service that does manage to kind of market itself just right or hit just right, where a lot of people do check it out. Among them is the First Descendant, though if you look at its critical...
I mean, some people are enjoying the First Descendant. I personally think it's too boring. People are literally just farming the same spots over and over again and waiting for respawns. And when that happens, it's kind of bad. I don't think First Descendant is going to last long. I think it had a chance, but the way it instantaneously started fixing things and changing things to make up for the things that it doesn't have, I think has kind of dented it a lot.
Reception, I mean, already mixed at 53% on Steam from almost 60,000 reviews. That indicates that unless they do something to spruce the game up, it might be a pretty quick descent, akin to what we saw with like Multiversus.
Yeah, and the First Descendants problems are actually more huge than just sprucing it up, because at this point, they need late game because people are at the end game. And that's bad. And if you make a late game, if you make end game for people, so, you know, your core audience doesn't leave, well, the beginner experience is not that great in a lot of aspects. And when your beginner experience is not that great in a lot of aspects, you kind of go the Destiny route, where the game literally begs every new player to delete it because it's just so bad. And no, seriously, words cannot Go find a video about the Destiny new player experience. You're gonna be horrified if you don't know how bad it is. The game does everything to try and push people out from playing it. It's crazy.
And it doesn't help that the scores surrounding the First Ascent are pretty not great, sitting at a 57% from 13 critic reviews, and the user scores at a 4.9 on Metacritic, combined with the mixed score on Steam from tens of thousands of people. But currently, if you look at the player numbers, the all-time peak, 264,860 players. That's like a dream launch scenario for a live service.
It's free. Wait, it's free to play and it's botted. The First Descendant price. The First Descendant on Steam. Let's check it out real quick. Oh, actually, I'm just gonna. It's free to play, is it not? Let me check in the Steam store real quick. For some reason, I wanted to use Google for it, which is not smart. Smart. The First Descent, yeah, it's free. It's free, which means it's botted. The easiest way to tell that the game is botted is looking at the 24-hour peaks and dips. And as you can see here, yeah, they kind of don't exist. This is like 20k. A 20k dip between regions when days pass is not enough. The more flatlined your line is, the more bots your game has. That is pretty much an absolute undoubtable rule of thumb.
And so far, in what little time this game has been out, the people who play this game are consistently coming back. But I've heard that this game just is kind of bland and lackluster in certain areas, and that it's grindy in ways that are not necessarily fun. Not to mention that when it comes to, I guess, its primary...
I think people are kind of overblowing how grindy it honestly is. Now, I don't know the details, and I have talked about this. I do think people are overblowing how grindy it is. But the problem is the First Descendant is done by... I don't remember the company, but that company is known to lie about drop rates. So if they're telling you there's a 5% drop rate for this item in a loot box, chances are it's actually 0.1. They have done this previously because they know that lying makes you more money. And that the fines that they are going to have for lying are not even going to be remotely close.
Competition, it is kind of trying to be its own version of Warframe to a degree. And Warframe is already so well established, and that is a game whose updates have proven to be so substantial that every time a major new update comes out, it like transforms the game. To compete against that, the First Descendant, its cadence of high quality new content releases will have to be, competitive with that. And so unless it does that, I can see these numbers drop off fairly quickly over the course of the next few weeks. But this is one of those, like, we'll see, we'll have to wait and see scenarios. And then we have Destiny 2, which is in many ways the mother of live service looter shooters. The Destiny IP, I think, has been out the longest as far as that particular genre goes, and it's what
Yep.
inspired a lot of businesses to try to essentially replicate its success. And with the final shape having been so well received, I mean, the player numbers peaked at almost the all-time peak that it was at previously in the last month, and in recent months, I mean, and recent days, we're seeing players in the tens to hundreds of thousands. So this is a game that's doing well.
I wonder if this is enough for them to finish their contractual obligation with Sony. Because, again, we saw all of the statistics, if they could be believed, before the final shape launched, and it was not looking good for Bungie, you know? It was not really looking good. So I wonder if Bungie is still in danger of getting taken over by Sony, even though the final shape is successful.
And who went off with a bang thanks to a great final DLC. Zenla Zone Zero, this is from MiHoYo, and at this point, with the success of Genshin and then Honkai Star Rail, MiHoYo is just too big to fail now. Like any new game they output, I think they'll just, people will be on board for this particular fan base. So Zenla Zone Zero managed to accrue $50 million.
I don't think that's true. I think all the other Genshin clones from Genshin themselves, haven't a lot of them failed? What was the Star Rail thing? Didn't that fail?
Downloads worldwide in a very short amount of time, and that does not surprise me one bit. So MiHoYo at this point is established enough as a company and brand that
Sad.
its cadence of releases, of content updates are too small, and they need like an expansion sized update, I think, to
Yeah, this is accurate. We know that this is accurate for Helldivers.
itself, unlike say
Eggs Defiant, what the hell is this garbage even? Jesus, there's a lot of examples of this, huh? What is this? No idea what that even is supposed to be, but it looks kind of bad. Anyway, I think we're done here, man. Live services. It's a thing. Anyway, that was
stay
Young
tuned
Yeah.
right here on Young Yeah. I'll
Young
see you
out.
guys next
See
time.
you out. Young
Young
Yeah
Yeah.
out. Beautiful. Anyway, bye.